Daniel Bonniot de Roselite. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Thank you. I made it. So he's the project manager and the designer of naming tools. He's been with ChemAxon since 2006. So I very casually asked him, what is so interesting about the job of naming these chemical structures? I mean, it would be difficult for me, honestly. So his response was that ChemAxon has a strong core API, the in-house knowledge, the mutual support, and a very non-formal work atmosphere. The thrill and the motivation of creating the naming tool comes from the demand and the usefulness. And you will find out more in his presentation. Over to you.
Thank you, Anu. Nico is right that it would have been very logical to have first this presentation about the naming tools in ChemAxon and then some kind of benchmark and use. But actually, I think fate maybe was a good thing because now you know that the tool is interesting, maybe it grabbed your attention, and then I can tell you about it. So I will tell you about not only name to structure, but all the naming tools that we are providing at ChemAxon. But first I wanted to just say a few words about why is it so interesting to work with names, and why do we need tools to handle names. I heard quite a lot of complaints about chemical names. The nomenclature is a bit weird because it has evolved from use, and it is not formally defined, and there's ambiguities, and it's extremely complex. And believe me, I read the software. And that's completely right, and so that's why we have other formats like SMILES or INCHI or MOL or whatever to describe chemical structures in a very well-defined and easy way to convert between computers. But names are useful to use as well for several reasons. One of them is that it's the only format that's designed for humans. And so even though it might be a bit more complicated rules or sometimes ambiguous, it's also something that is familiar. If you speak about vitamin C, and that's something that you'll immediately know what it's about, or indole or whatever, it's names that are familiar to humans. That means also that it can be very practical if, you open your Marvin Sketch window and you will like some structure. It's very useful that you can type the name and get a structure. And so for vitamin C, you would just type that, and you don't have to know by heart exactly what the structure, and you don't have to draw it. That's a very small but very practical thing that you can use every day. But also, the other reason is that not only is it good for humans, but also it's there, and we have to use it whether you like it or not, because it's there in patents, it's like in articles, and you want to be able to convert those names that appear out there in the world into chemical structures. So to fill all these needs, we have a big and a growing set of tools at ChemAxon. So this is what I will tell you about today. The first tool that we released was the name generation. So given a structure, compute its name. That's been out there for a bit more than 2 years. And so we'll talk about that. So name generation, also name import, which is the other way from the name to the structure. And those are the tools that were already there before, last year. And I will tell you a bit about the improvements of these tools. And I'm also presenting today the new tools that's been coming in the last year, some very recently. So there is the name extraction. Given a structure, you can, given a document, text document with words and sentences, spotting where are the names and then converting those to structures and telling you where in the document those names are. And as Steve has mentioned, and Nico as well, there is a lot of names that have been OCR'd, and so they have mistakes in them, and so we've been implementing some rules to handle that. So I will show you some examples. And lastly, we developed a website called chemicalize.org that was also mentioned in the Linguamatics presentation. And this is sort of putting together all the tools that we've been developing at ChemAxon. So it's kind of proof of concept. It's also something that can be useful for you, and I will just quickly speak about it. So first, the structure to name. So you can use it in basically all the ChemAxon tools. So in Marvin View and Marvin Sketch. You can just generate the name of the structure. You can copy and then use it wherever you want. It can actually be in the sketcher and as a label, and so as you draw a structure, you can see its name updated in real time. And then there is all the batch creation of names. So in Marvin View, in command line, obviously the API is there, so you can do it in your custom Java and .NET applications. And in Instant JChem, you can also set a name as one of the columns in your table, and so it will automatically be computed for all your structures. And structure to name has options to generate either the strict IUPAC name or some more traditional names that might be more familiar. And if you have some very big structures in the middle of other ones that might actually be possible to compute the name but very long, then you might want to set a timeout. So this is also an option that you have, so you don't get stuck by a few structures in a big data set. So structure to name is stable. It's been there for 2 years. It's been improving, but you can see here, this is some numbers, the comparison between 510, which was there in the spring of last year, and this latest 525. For instance, on the NCI structures, well, both generate 99.9%, so there are a few exceptions, cases that can't generate the name, but that's getting very rare. There is an improvement, so 4% of the structures actually get a different name now. So there's been some improvement. This is a case where it's very obvious that instead of getting this name, you get a fuse name, which is much more, well, it's shorter and it's easier to understand and to read. There are still cases where we need to improve, so there are still some cases, but it's been improving a bit in the last year. There are some cases like ions and different IUPAC rules. But basically, it's already quite stable, and so at the moment we've been focusing on other tools. And one of the flagship, like the main improvement recently was the name to structure. So that's something you can use in Marvin Sketch. As I said, when you want to, instead of drawing a structure, you could just type it using the import name menu. And we can actually automatically recognize the format. So if you paste a name in a Marvin Sketch, it will come up without having to say that it's a name. It could be a smile or a name. It will find it. And then you can do some batch conversion in Marvin View or Marvin Sketch by opening a name file, and also batch from the command line. So the big question is how good is it? So Nico gave some answers. We have also our own testing, of course, and so one very easy way to test both tools at the same time is to take any structure from a data set and convert it to name, and then convert that name to a structure, and then use some comparison method that not only accepts identical structures, but those that are like aromatized or not, or irrelevant differences. And so based on this, we can measure some improvement in our both the generation and the import, but mostly it's the import that has been improving. And so you can see that 1 year ago, we could go all around for 90% of the names that we generated, but only less than 17% were strictly identical. So there was a lot of mostly small differences and sometimes bigger differences. So 1 year afterwards, 97% could be converted, and that's the most very important part. That now is getting better. So 94% is actually correct, strictly correct, identical, and this is the time frame that Nico has been speaking about. So between 2 and 3 months, this basically didn't go up. So just a bit. So we import some more names, but almost 2% more is actually now correct. So it's really what we're focusing on now, and we hope to get even higher in the next year. It really depends on which data you work on. So if you look at PubChem, you will see that, for instance, the correction was much better 1 year ago. You can see the point is that everything is going up, but it's also the point that you should really try with your own data set, because it depends what you are interested in. So try it and evaluate it. We also improve the speed. So name to structure is 33% faster than it used to be last year. Okay, so those were the tools that have been there for some time and that have been improving. Now there are several things that we've been introducing recently. One of them is customization. So if the basic conversion, especially for systematic names and the dictionary that we have is good for you, but you find out that lots of common names are not supported because you work in a certain area that we didn't cover because we cannot cover everything, then there are several ways that you can plug into the system to add your own names that can be converted to structures. And so the simplest way is to just provide a dictionary file that you put at the right place. It's documented, and then it will use your names in priority before our algorithm. And if you want to do something a bit more fancy, then you can actually, there's a very simple API to provide a plugin that will run inside our system. And so basically you can do everything with it. So it's a very simple Java class, and you get a name, and you should answer with a structure or nothing. But some examples of what you would like to do, and this is what our customers ask, was that they would be able to do a database lookup. So basically in your plugin, you can connect your database and see if the name is present, and then you can reply with the structure. You could use web services, as we have seen that that's also a very good approach. And so you can do anything you want in this plugin. So it's completely flexible in what you do, and also you can set up whether you run it before our algorithm or afterwards in case it didn't work. So you can really extend and benefit from our core algorithm. That's one of the very recent additions. A new product is this conversion from document to structure. So if you have a full text document with some names in it, then you can run it through our tools. It will do some work to find where the names are, trying to be quite fast. So it's not trying every word and every combination of words, because that would be very slow. So it's doing some tricks using the internals of the algorithm to try to spot very fast whether something is a candidate for a name or not. And so at the end, what you get is the list of names, where they are, and the structures. At the moment, we have implemented this for text, HTML, and XML, so all the text formats. It's not directly possible with PDF, docs, or any binary format. We are planning to do this, and we can discuss with you what formats are needed for you. It's also an option that, given the PDF, you can internally, in a way, using different tools, you could convert it to text and then use our tool right now. Something else that we need to do, as Steve mentioned, is that there are lots of errors in names, especially when it was scanned. So this is an example of a name that actually comes from out there in the world. So you see that here, instead of a 1, you have an L. And then here in the material, you have to elect a space, which is inserted in the middle of the name. So it means that it's actually 2 different words. But this L is not a 1, it's really a L. And then here you have some extra spaces as well before the 1H. Yeah, so these are several errors, and actually that's something that we support. So of course this case, and we have a certain number of rules that can fix those names. There are lots of, I think it really depends on which software and which font was used. So there are lots of cases, and surely it worked for some and it doesn't work for others. We are working on improving this. If you are working with this kind of names and you find that it doesn't work for you, then please send us some examples, because we are very willing to take into account the kind of problems that you have, and then we can use it to improve the software and use it for our tests to make sure that we keep working on those type of OCR errors. This is used by default in document to structure, of course, because it will happen a lot. At the moment, if you use just name to structure, it doesn't do any correction, but we are going to put it soon, so that if you just want to pass a name but you know it might have errors, then you can also turn on the option and it will do this kind of correction. And finally, so I mentioned this chemicalize.org website. So it's a proof of concept. We put all this together. So this is a website that actually you can give it a URL and it will load a web page that from the internet. It will parse the HTML, find the names in it, and then add some structural information. So you will see the name is underlined, and then you can pop up a window and you see the picture of the structure. If you click on the image, you will get a page which has some property calculations. And I will not do a demo because I think everybody wants to get to lunch not so much late. But if you want to have any demo of this or any of our tools, please come to me. I'll be happy to talk to you. And it's also an option that if you need to have this kind of facility on your website, so to highlight the names and show the structures, then we can talk about how we can do that. So this is just a screenshot of how chemicalize.org works. So this is, we loaded a Wikipedia page on it, and there is some information. You see all these underlined names, and this is a pop-up of the structure that was added by our software. So just to finish the presentation, my message was that name to structure and structure to name are there. They have been improving. And so please, there's a new version that's coming out now. It's a major improvement, 5.5. So if you want, either if you tried it before or if you consider using it, please try this latest version. And then there are these new tools like document to structure that you should that you can try. And the customization is also something new, and that might fit your needs. So using our core algorithm and your dictionary data that can be put together very easily. And so just go out and try it. Those who were in the developer training have a temporary license, so you can try even in batch mode. If you are interested, we are very willing to give you a license as well, so you can evaluate. Send feedback about what works, what doesn't work. We are very reactive in trying to improve it, depending on kind of names you are encountering, so we are listening. Just contact us, and I'm listening to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Any questions? Okay. We need them because this is being taped.
Can I use it on a Mac?
Chemicalize?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I actually tried it because I use Linux, but I mean it's using it's a standard JavaScript addition to the text. So let's try it, but it should work because it's JavaScript. Yeah. Okay, Mitchell tried and it does work. Thank you.